And now we're going to start... We got one-shot Darth Revan. Greetings and hello there, everybody. It's me, your beloved Star Wars dad, here in the cantina to have a little visit with you again today. A little chat with my my young children to give them lessons about life and talk about the 10 teams everybody needs to have in Star Wars Galaxy Heroes. Now, let's talk about what I mean by that. You know, I'm not saying these are the absolute best teams in the game. We're not going to talk about Galactic Legends. We're going to exclude Galactic Legends. It's very clear you need to get Galactic Legends in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. And we're going to we're going to talk about teams. I was going to say what we're going to eliminate, but let's talk about what we are going to talk about. We're going to talk about teams that you can farm early and farm often and use forever. These would be teams that you can get from the beginning of the game all the way through the mid game, and they last all the way through the end game for you. You know, there's some really great teams that you can farm early on, then they kind of fade over time. There's teams that you get to get other teams. There are teams in the end game that are really awesome. Teams like Dr. Aphra or now Bo-Katan, and they're really incredible teams. But are they teams that you should be farming early in the game, and then you can use them often throughout the game, and they have a lot of different uses, and then you are still using them in the end game once you get there? That's the kind of teams we're talking about. So without further ado, let's jump into this bad boy, and my very first team is right here at the top, the Imperial Troopers. I really wish I could jump in there with this. I guess I can do that. So the Imperial Troopers, guys. And yeah, I know you could put Range Trooper in there for Stark or Moff Gideon. You could put any trooper in there, really, if you want. But to me, this is the team. And why did I put Stark in here? I always put Stark in because he's just really easily farmable early in the game. In the guild activity store, you can get him very easily. But this Imperial Trooper team, if you're a free-to-play player, it's going to advance you through Galactic War early in the game. It beats a lot of other teams. If you outspeed like a Darth Revan, you can beat that team with your Imperial Trooper team. Moff Gideon does so many great things. You can move him later to a Gidmate team. This is like at the top of my list for a team that every player needs to have. If you unlock the game at the beginning, you're going to need to get Imperial Troopers. And by the way, another reason to have Stark in here, these three guys right here are included in the Sith Eternal farm, and Piet is included in the Executor farm. So the Imperial Troopers, great team to have, great performing, lead to other farms. They're really awesome. What's going to be next? Hey, the Phoenix. The team that I dogged for about a year or two, that I told you, don't bother with Phoenix. As soon as Captain Rex hit the holo tables, boom, this team is one of maybe the number 2 team any player should get on their roster, especially free to play. Again, a great Galactic War team for you free to play players early on. But this team lasts all the way through the end game. Whether you put them in Territory Wars with Hera's Omicron here, you can put them in Grand Arena with old Rex's Omicron. The Zetas are just awesome. These guys wreck so many other teams in so many other game modes. I love them all. And of course, the Phoenix will lead you to Emperor Palpatine and Thrawn to get them for journeys. And then Hera's required for the Profundity as well. And Rex is required for Leia. So the Phoenix are just a great, great team to have for every player in this game. They come in at number 2 for me. And by the way, I'm kind of going from easiest to farm to most difficult to farm, and I think I forgot to change the order here, so I may be flipping around team. I don't know. We'll see how this works out. I was going to move the teams around and I forgot. Hey, your CLS team. This team you can farm very early in the game. Now there are challenges because you got a Chewbacca journey in here, you got a CLS journey in here, you got a C-3PO journey in here, and you're getting Han Solo from your Mark II guild event tokens. But putting this team together very early in the game. Most of us can get this team together, you know, within our first 6 to 9 months of the game. Even free to play, you can do it in that time period. And this team, man, it just does work. It does work all the way through the game. The beginning of the game, the middle of the game, the end of the game. It does work in Proving Grounds. It does work in Conquest. This is a baller end game team, and it's going to get you on your journey toward Jedi Knight Luke, which gets you to Jabba, which gets you to Jedi Master Luke. You're going to have to get CLS in order to get Leia Organa. Just these guys, and 3PO also fits into your gas farm. These guys fit in so many places in the game. They're just a great team to have in the game. The CLS, I can't recommend them enough. Get them on your roster. Everybody should have a CLS team, this CLS team on their roster. I'm going to get out of order here, and this is going to happen real quickly. Darth Revan. I got this Darth Revan team put together with Darth Revan as the lead. I got Darth Malgus down there at the end. We'll talk about that. In the second, we'll talk about Sith Marauder. These top 3. Darth Revan, Darth Malak, Baz Lashan. You can go into a 5v5 Grand Arena with these three on a team and beat most teams all the way through the mid-game. These guys are amazing. Darth Revan is a great character to have on your roster, and eventually Darth Revan and Darth Malak are going to be required for the Leviathan, and why don't you take Darth Malak to Relic 9 anyway, because he's awesome with all that protection. And down here I added Marauder, because Marauder fits into that Leviathan farm, and also into the Sith Eternal farm, so he fits in a couple of different farms in the game, and Darth Malgus is actually a character you're going to add later on in the game through Proving Grounds, or even buying with crystals. He becomes the leader of this team in Grand Arenas and really just transforms this team into something really special for all phases of the game. Darth Malgus will come along later, but in the early game, you can farm Darth Revan very early in this game, and Darth Malak as well. You got to get the Jedi Knight Revan team to farm Darth Malak, but the Darth Revan team comes into the top teams that everybody's got to have in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. And then we're looking at next, Jedi Knight Revan. You know, if we're talking about teams, and again, I said this is all about teams you can farm early, teams you can farm often, teams you can farm in the mid-game, teams that will carry you through the end game. This Jedi Knight Revan team is a great team that goes along for a long time. And then when you get Jedi Master Luke, Jedi Knight Revan himself moves over to that Jedi Master Luke team. Then Yoda kind of moves around a little bit too. These guys will move around to different teams further in the deep. When you get to the late game, they kind of move around. Jedi Master Luke kind of changes how this team looks. But this team right here will last you all the way through the late game, beating teams like Grievous and just all sorts of teams. You can put this out there against a lot of different teams. Plus, it gets you an assault battle as well. Yoda is required for Jedi Master Kenobi. Baz Lashan is required for somebody. Who's she required for? Oh, the Leviathan. Yeah, that's what she's required for. This team will get you all sorts of stuff in the game. It does a lot of great things for you, and eventually these guys move around to other teams. Jedi Knight Revan is a team that I love, and I've only got 4 here because you can plug in the 5th, plug and play. When you get Jedi Knight Luke, you put him in there, and they'll conquer, and not exactly this team, but a bunch of Jedi will conquer that assault battle where you need the Jedi as well. Hey, how about that Starkiller team? This is a team that I believe by the time you get to the mid-game, that 4 or 5 million mark, you should have unlocked. I didn't do it on my free-to-play account. Now I'm kind of playing catch-up on Starkiller, and I'm regretting it. Starkiller in Grand Arena is amazing. And even in Territory Wars, if you got the Juhani in there and you've got her Omicron, it's amazing. Starkiller is awesome. He kills Rey teams. He kills other Galactic Legends. You can put him on defense if you need to. You can sub in a lot of unaligned light side Force users here for Visasmar. If you got the Lightspeed bundles, you could put Scavenger Ray in there. You know, this team right here just does so many great things for you, and it's so much fun to play with. You pull the Star Destroyer out of the sky. I love this Starkiller team. Everybody, by the time you get to that mid-game, 4 to 6 million should have Starkiller on your roster and put together a great Starkiller team for Grand Arena and maybe even Territory Wars if you want to go ahead and relic Juhani and get an Omicron on her. How about the Inquisitors? I'm moving this up. So the Inquisitors do require a lot of Chirotechs. I'm gonna agree with you there. And the Inquisitors are just an okay team. They're a pretty good team once you get Grand Inquisitor. Before you get Grand Inquisitor, they're really not much of a team at all. Once you get Grand Inquisitor, they're an okay team. But here's the deal. They lead to Reva, and I just took her off. I was meaning to highlight her, and I just took her off. The Grand Inquisitor team leads you to Reva. If you get a full Relic 7 Grand Inquisitor team, then you can get into a guild doing Rise of the Empire territory battles, and there you can farm Reva. And Reva transforms this team into an end game team. I believe the Inquisitors, and they probably should have been at the very end of this list. Starkiller Inquisitors are probably the final 2 teams you should farm on this full list of teams I'm putting together. But I really believe in these Inquisitors now, and I've moved them up into a team that you've got to have. One of the 10 teams you've got to have, because it gets you into that Rise of the Empire Territory Battles Guild. It gets you your Reva shards. It gets Reva on your roster. I'm still working on her. I don't have her right now. I'm still working on her. But once I get Reva on here, it adds another Galactic Legend killer team to my roster, and I can't wait to unlock Reva and get her on this roster. Inquisitors, man, they've moved up the list slowly over time. Bounty Hunters should have been much higher on this list. They're easier to unlock. You can comprise a bunch of different teams here. I put together what I believe to be probably the ideal team here with Bosk, Boba Fett, Grief Karga, Mando, and Dengar. This team can do a lot of work for you. You might be able to put Zam Wessel in there for Grand Arena because with her Omicron, she makes Bounty Hunters that much better in Grand Arena. But this team is astonishingly good. They can do a lot of work against a lot of teams, but a big deal about this team, and again, you can do it different ways. If you want to just go the Executor route, you put IG-88 in here and Cad Bane, that, you know, instead of Grief and Mando, that's fine. It gets you a bounty hunter team. You're going to be unlocking Chewbacca with this team. You'll be getting their ships to go get the Executor and the Millennium Falcon, which you need for Jedi Knight Luke. The bounty hunters lead you to so many different places, and that's not to mention that Bosk's Houndstooth, his ship, is the most important tank in the game, bar none, whether you've got him on your Executor fleet or whether you're working toward the Executor fleet, whether you're using him earlier on a Negotiator fleet, whatever. His tank, the Houndstooth, fits everywhere in the game. The bounty hunters are so important to so many facets of this game, including Grand Arena, where they can do things like pick off all of the other members of a Galactic Legends team, so you just have the Galactic Legend left, and you finish them off with Imperial Troopers or CLS. I'm telling you, all these teams go together, but these guys should be up higher, like third or fourth of the teams you need to farm in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. Who's next on our list here that's kind of out of order? Well, maybe not out of order. Gas 501st. Everybody should have the Gas 501st on their roster. You're going to get a cool Separatist droid team, which you can put Grievous in charge of. That's a great team to have. That you need that to get to, you don't need Grievous, but you need the droids to get gas. You're going to get your Galactic Republic farm with Padme and General Kenobi and Ahsoka in there as well. Shakti. But gas, this team lasts you all the way through the end game. You get the wrong Galactic Legends set up in Grand Arena, you can beat it with gas. You can clean up Galactic Legends. This team, you can put it on defense just to absorb a Commander Luke Skywalker team. This team kills a lot of stuff in the right situation. It can kill even more. Gas performs well in Conquest, in Proving Grounds. The Gas 501st are a team that everybody should have on their roster by that 5 to 6 million mark. They're just a really, really important team in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. They were important when they came out, and they're still important today. The last team I've got on the top 10 here, and they would actually move up to probably 6 or 7, the Darth Tra team. You need a couple of Omicrons on Darth Tra and Savage, maybe on Darth Talon. It seems like her Omicron's kind of an extra. Darth Nihilus, Darth Sion. This team in Grand Arena, I kill Galactic Legends with it all the time, specifically Jedi Master Luke. And I know that endgame you're not going to kill him, but you can still in the right situation take out, again, a bunch of the sides there as well. You put this on defense all the way through the late game. It's going to perform nearly like a Galactic Legend team. It's going to make people really sweat to beat this team. The Darth Tra team in Grand Arena is really great, and you can use it in other modes as well. Hey, there's a Proving Grounds node. I think it's a TIE Interceptor that you can do with Darth Tra, Darth Nihilus, and Darth Malak. And you can just complete that node with just this team right here. So Darth Tra, this team is a team that everybody should have. By the time you get to the mid-game, 4, 5, 6 million, you should have this team on your roster. The last spot here, Darth Talon. I sub in other Sith for their Darth Vader, or maybe just no Sith at all. Sith Trooper can fit in here. The red Sith Trooper can fit here as well if you don't have him sitting on a Spring Leader Kylo Ren team. But a lot of Sith can fit in this last slot. Darth Talon's kind of the one that most people use. That's why I've got her there. And hey, that's our top 10, but don't freak out. I got a couple more for you. So hang on. I know some of you guys are like, wait. What about Wampa? She is a team all into herself. I'm all for Wampa. Put Wampa on your roster. Once you put the Omicron on her, she becomes a Grand Arena team all by herself. You want to have Wampa on your roster. It's an easy farm, an easy-ish farm. With your Mark II Guild event raid currency, you can get Wampa. You can also use your Get 2 currency that you get from territory battles. Wampa. She's a complete team by herself in Grand Arena, and you get the Omicron on her. I kind of use her in some other game modes too, but she really fits in Grand Arena with that Omicron. So get Wampa on your roster. That's a team all by herself, by her lonesome. No one else is needed. And then I'm going to say the Executor here. The Executor, you're gonna farm it early, you're gonna farm it often. You can unlock it in about 9 months' time, free to play. 6 months are left, pay to play with $50 a month, something like that. The Executor is gonna get you to the top of Fleet Arena early. You're gonna start getting crystal income on a daily basis from having the Executor in Fleet Arena early. This is a banging, awesome, great fleet to have on your team. It is still relevant in the end game. It's now fallen down to like second, not like number 2, 2.5, 3, right in that range as far as best best fleets for the end game. Leviathan tops the list, and it's Executor and Profundity kind of trade spots there. Profundity maybe has a little bit of an edge, but Executor's still there. This is a great fleet. Everybody should farm this as your first big fleet in the game. You should also think about Chimera, by the way, on the side, but you really need the Scythe to make that fully work. I love this fleet. It's really amazing. The Executor is your next one. So there you go. There are your top 10 plus 2 plus 2 teams that every player should have in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. These are teams you can farm early, teams you can farm often, teams that will do great for you in early game, mid game, late game, end game, all the way through the game. These teams are going to last you. I hope you have a great day. Get these teams on your roster. I will talk to you soon, and always remember, Nooch too good.